Dear friends, people say that men shallow floating well, the woman is as deep as the betel nut. Maybe that's why when a woman has an affair, it shows up on the face and in action. There are no adulterous women. They hide as well as men. By an adulterous woman, mostly it comes from feeling. So there's a sentence: two handles, two roses, chat fruit stacking sweet fruit part chai. The night lies sighing, I love my husband a lot less. Maybe it's a woman's frown. It's far from the depth of men. And right after, ladies and gentlemen, listening to short stories is on great. The issue of adultery in marriage. Huang Huang wishing you and your friends. There are moments when listening to stories is relaxing. One early winter afternoon, the northern village was engulfed in the cold. Lan standing at the door, hand rubbing two biceps to ward off the cold, but can't keep up with the emptiness inside. The sun's weak rays, it's not strong enough to warm the air. The darkness covers the house. Hero, are you coming home for dinner tonight? Lan voice call via landline. Stay calm. On the other end of the line, the voice echoed low and indifferent. I have to raise my Sia to be late. Just eat with me first. Lan sighed. She hid the 7 hopes in her heart. She quietly hung up and put the phone down on the table. How many times have you not remembered? Heroes are always busy. There is always a reason not to leave early, and his presence in the house was becoming less and less. Their marriage. At first glance, it looks as calm as the surface of an autumn lake, but underneath, these are the underground waves that the land itself feels. More than anyone remembers the first days of marriage. There are many other heroes now. I often care. Ask Han He from the smallest things. Even though life is poor, they feel full when they have each other. But now, the invisible distance between the two is growing to the extent you feel like you're living with a stranger. Little boy. Tom is playing with toys on the floor. Suddenly raise your head. Mom, Dad didn't come home for dinner. Lan nods her head to stroke my soft hair. She tried to keep a soft smile to hide her fatigue. My eyes are still sad even though I am 16 years old, but he's noticed a change in his family. He's used to eating rice, and there's only 2 of us. No wonder. BSE working. We eat first, and then we eat after dinner. Lan coaxes it. But in the heart of Lan, these words are like excuses for your own failure. That night after cleaning up dinner, Lan sat down on the wooden chair on the front porch, looking out into the dark courtyard. You haven't come back yet, and you're not waiting. The cold wind blows through. Like the wind chime hang in front of the door to make the quiet sounds, alone in the empty night. Phone lane out. I skimmed through a few lines of text and ended up with a name that makes you curious and confused. It's been over a month since she ran into Nam again at the hospital. When taking Min to the doctor, they were each other's first love in high school. But life pushes. They both take different paths. I still remember the last time I saw you. The only difference is that now, you look much better and more mature. He put on a white shirt and confident smile, the exact opposite of what Lan is at home. They only talk in 3 sentences, but the Lan feels good. Nam's eyes were still full of interest, like every day for a while. Lan click on Nam's message. I can't believe that. After a moment, Nam answered. How are you? I haven't seen you in a long time. It's a simple question, but it makes me nervous. She replied. She kept the calm in her voice. I'm fine, just like every day. Nam replied soon after. It's like I've been waiting for your message for a long time. I'm still busy, but I'm really thinking of you. Lan sat silently watching the words. The heart beats faster than a beat. I can't believe you mentioned the old thing. The old memories are coming back. You can't help it. They used to love each other dearly, but because Nam's family moved out, that love cannot be sustained. Now when we meet again, south still like a new wind, in the murky life of Lan. Now I see Nam again, still like a new wind in the dark life of Lan. This feeling isn't something you've never experienced, but what makes you wonder is why. Come back at this time. You are the wife of a hero. Nam continues the message. I always regret the past. If you don't have to leave that day, maybe we had a different ending. To delay the fingers touching the screen. Write and delete. I don't know how to answer. You tell yourself these are just the words of a man. It's gone, but somewhere in your heart. A void that's growing. The void that the hero accidentally creates. Through the long cold. Late at night, Hung came home. The doors opening screeched in the silence of the night. Lan is still sitting on the porch, eyes staring at the night ahead. She didn't come back, just asked softly, "Did you eat anything?" Hung responded succinctly without a bit of emotion. "I ate at the factory." Lan sighed softly. Get up and go into the house without saying anything. You can feel their conversation now. It's just superficial questions. Not as warm as before. Where the husband's feelings went, she did not know. The hero looked at his wife's back and entered the house. I also noticed the change, but there's something I can't express. The work pressure, money, and life have made you emotionally numb. I want to talk to Lan, but I don't know where to start. They both went to bed quietly. Everyone carries their own thoughts in their mind. Only the boy in the middle. I don't know what's going on around me. The next morning, Lan got up early to prepare breakfast for Cho Min. Before taking you to school, the sound of boiling water and the sound of food cutters. In a quiet space. It's still foggy outside. The cold soaked into the fabric of the jacket that Lan wore. You just look at the bedroom, where Hung still lay quietly in bed. She sighed softly. How long has it been since you and I have had breakfast together? But family meals are now rare. And when there is, it's just minutes of silence. Choking me out, holding my mother's hand and smiling brightly. Mom, I have a test today. I did well. Lan bent over and rubbed my head. That's great. Your dad would be proud to tell you later. I grinned and nodded, but in Lan's heart a bitter feeling crept. You know that. The hero probably doesn't care much. Did I do a good test or not? You've become so distant that it's hard to understand. After taking Min to school, Lan visited the village's small cafe where she used to sit for some quiet. The bar is not too crowded. There are only a few patrons, and she chose to give herself a corner where you can see this small road that leads into the village. Sitting sipping a cup of hot tea, the village suddenly received a message from the text south. Appears on the phone screen. It makes your heart beat faster. Are you free? I want to see you. I stared at the phone for a moment, then quickly messaged back. I'm at the coffee shop near your house. Can I come? After a few minutes, the man appeared in front of her, bring a confident smile like last time. It's still an elegant outfit with a bright face. Man looks like he stepped out of a magazine. The opposite of Hung is always tired and pale. It's been a long time since I met you, Lan. Man sits down opposite. Her eyes kept their attention from her. Lan smiled wryly, feeling confused but also strangely warm. You've been so busy for a long time. Nam laughed and looked deeply into Lan's eyes. Busy is busy, but you always have time for people you care about. Nam's words made Lan a little stalled. There's something in your voice. It makes you feel both comforting and awkward. They talk to each other as if the years of separation don't exist. Nam asks Han about Lan's life, about work and family. Lan told me in a soft voice. But I can't hide the sadness in my heart. Is Hung okay? Nam asked surprisingly. Lan bit her lip, her eyes widened, and she was fine. He's working all the time. No time for family much. Nam nodded and said nothing more, just listened quietly. Maybe that silence is what Lan needs most right now. You feel more relieved when you share your heart with someone, without judgment, without blame. Sorry to ask about this, but I always think of you those days. If we hadn't lost contact, maybe things would have been different. Nam suddenly said. Serious eye contact makes Lan able to take his eyes off. Lan was slightly startled. Her heart beat faster. Nam's words has awakened her feelings. I thought it was deep for a long time. You know you shouldn't think about it. But loneliness persists in married life. It made you weak. Lan replied softly as she whispered to herself. There are things that can't be returned. Nam looked at her for a long time, then suddenly put your hand lightly on the Lan. But we can start over if you want. Take care of yourself before that. Her hands trembled at the gentle touch from Naman, but you didn't take it back. Part of you wants to stay away, but another part, again yearning for the fear of care that Nam brings. You haven't felt it in so long. Feeling appreciated by others. Nam withdrew his hands. Do not want to make Lan awkward. I look at you with gentle eyes, like waiting for a decision. I don't want to force you. It's just that if you're not happy, I'm here. Lan looked up at the south. Your eyes are deep. It contains all the comforting words you've never heard. From Hero, you know you're on a dangerous line. But the feeling inside that tore. You don't know whether to step back or move forward. That evening when Lan came home, the house is still in the familiar silence. I'm playing on the floor, as heroic as ever. I sat in front of you with blank eyes. Lan sat down next to her son. He stroked the boy's silky hair and asked softly, "Is there anything wrong with you today?" Hung did not return, but replied briefly nothing. Lan felt his heart tighten. Nam's words still echoed in his mind. In front of you is reality, a life you've always wanted. It's just a burden on my shoulders. You don't know what to do to close the gap between me and the hero. Mixed emotions in the heart of Lan. You couldn't sleep that night. She's lying in bed. Listen to the rabbits pass next to Hung. It feels like you're in two different worlds. The light from the phone on the night sky flashing. A message from South Africa. I still think of you, sleeping well. Lan stared at the line of unanswered messages. The things that turn in the heart are constantly growing. You know you're lost, but not strong enough to turn around. And that night a small but profound change has quietly taken place in the heart of Lan. A new wind. You're pushing your life in one direction. You didn't expect it yourself. The days after that, Lan mind drifting like a boat without a dock. The messages from south to more continuous. Every morning and evening. At first it was just gentle questions, but gradually they become more personal and intimate. Each time the Lan receives a message from south, her heart is beating fast, as if you're living in an exciting new relationship. A weekend morning, he was busy working outside the factory. Lan received a message from Nam. I'm in town, do you want to see me? Lan staring at the phone screen. In the midst of a violent struggle, she couldn't deny that she longed to meet Nam. But a small part of your mind, still trying to stop it. But then it's like being pulled by some kind of power. You don't understand yourself. Lan texted back, where are you waiting for me? Lan appointment to Lan. At a quiet cafe in town. Upon entering the bar, she saw Nam sitting there as if she had been waiting for her for a long time. I stood up when I saw you smiling. You came, now you dare not come. Lan smiled, but in her stillness. You sit down opposite. I look at the coffee in front of me, without knowing what to say. He still has a natural attitude. I look at you with eyes to care. Lan, you're fine. I'm really worried about you. Lan took a deep breath. Her eyes were a little sad. I don't know. Everything in my life is now thrown up. Be quiet for a while, and I'll touch your hand. A small but powerful gesture. The warmth from that station radiated throughout the Lan's body. It makes you feel like you're not alone like before. Lan, if you're tired, I can rely on you, you're always here. Nam's words makes Lan like a fake pull deeper into the emotional turmoil. You look at me, his eyes filled with a desire for something else. What you can no longer find in Halong. These 5 men. As a way out of gridlock in your life. It gives you the feeling of being heard, to appreciate what heroes no longer do. I don't know what I'm doing. Lan whispered, her eyes slightly flinching. I don't want to betray my family, but I can't keep living like this. Nam gently holds her hand tighter. Your voice is full of kindness. Lan, I don't want to force you to do anything. But neither do you. I can see you living in such misery. You have the right to be happy, you know. Lan not responding, but your heart is tearing and your mind is telling you to stop. But your emotions keep pushing you forward. Nam is not a stranger. You are the one I once loved, and now, that closeness is back stronger than ever. They sat there talking for a while, but the feeling between the two of you has changed dramatically. Lan no longer keeps the distance as before, and South is getting closer. The original hand touch, it's now become intimate gestures. The eyes are full of love. Finally, Nam offered to take Lan home. Lan nodded in agreement without hesitation. In your heart, some have decided to let go of their thoughts. You want to live according to your feelings, even in this moment. On the way south, stop at a quiet corner by the river. Where as a child Lan used to come to play, the scene is still the same, but your heart is different now. She got out of the car and felt the cold of the evening. The wind blows softly through the hair. Man steps down near the hand placed on the shoulder. Lan, I always remember our memories here. We used to dream. We will build a family together, but it's not what we wanted. Now I don't want to lose you again. Lan clearly felt the sincerity in Nam's voice. And your heart is tight. She looked back at me, and in a split second, Nam pulled her closer. His eyes were gentle but decisive. They don't need to say another word. In that moment, all boundaries dissolve. Nam bent down and kissed Lan on the forehead, and then slowly moved down her lips. Lan closed her eyes to immerse herself in the warm feeling, the closeness that Nam brings. You have no reason to resist. In that moment, every lonely stalemate and the pain of his marriage to Hung seems to vanish. I can feel the warmth of Nam, feel the care you've been lacking for so long. After leaving the old place, Nam brought Lan back to the village. Along the way they said nothing more, but their eyes and their gestures said it all. When approaching the Lan house looked south, his eyes were filled with regret, but also full of emotion. Thank you, Nam. Nam, thank you. Nam just smiled and said nothing, but your eyes showed all that I feel. Before Lan gets out of the car, Nam said quietly, I'll always be here when you need me. Lan just nodded and hurried into the house. The mind is full of thoughts. You know you've crossed a line. You can't go back. But feeling close and loved, that Nam brought, that you can't refuse. And now you have to face the consequences that your actions will bring. In the darkness of the small house, Hung is still sitting in front of the TV screen. Didn't know that. Your marriage to Lan has changed forever. Days after the meeting with Nam, Lan's mind is almost obsessed with his silhouette. She tries to focus on her daily job of taking care of Min, cooking, cleaning. But every time you sit down to rest, her mind was spinning with memories of Nam. Feeling close, sweet kiss, and his caring eyes are always on. It makes your heart beat. The village is increasingly comparing Nam with Hung every time a hero enters with clothes smeared with oil. Tired face. The village felt her husband looks poor and lacks vitality. Your father always appears in your life with a matching appearance, courtesy, and time. Everyone is full of energy. Lan sitting by the window, looking at the car repair in the yard. I'm trying to mess with an old car. It broke down a few times a week. You feel depressed to the end. He comes home every day tired. Not sad to talk to you, not to mention sharing emotions or care about what you need. That evening, after a monotonous dinner with Hung and Min, Lan lying next to her husband in bed. As always, he quickly fell into a deep sleep after a long day of work. But Lan can't sleep. She lay silently looking up at the ceiling. I feel the distance between myself and the hero. It's getting bigger. When the hero suddenly turned to touch the Lan, you can't help but feel boring. In her husband's gestures, every time close to the hero, Elaine just sees it as a mindless, repetitive habit. Lack of real emotion. You try to fulfill the role of a wife, but inside you feel like you're pretending. Those moments only made her yearn for Nam more. Yearning for a new feeling. That's what Nam brings to you. Time goes by. Lan began to sink deeper into the relationship with Nam. Every time I text, even if I meet you, I'm no longer naked. The reasons for Lan to come out to meet you are increasingly diverse. You told the hero that I had to take Min to the city for medical examination. Another excuse to go shopping, or even lie about visiting friends. The more you meet the South, the more the lane changes. You feel more confident in how you dress. Always choose the best clothes. Make up more thoroughly every time you leave the house. Previously, Lan was just hanging around in plain clothes. Convenient to do housework, but now she's paying attention to every little detail. I always want to be perfect in front of people. One afternoon, I have to go to the city to shop. Get ready for the holidays. Hung is still working in the factory, and Lan to Min at home with her grandmother. She went straight to the apartment where Nam was staying. He greeted her with a warm smile. Your eyes want to swallow you. You are getting more beautiful, Lan. Nam said softly. His eyes did not leave her. Len laughed and was proud of his change. You've become another woman, full of vitality and charm, at least in the eyes of the South. In Nam's apartment, you don't have to hide your feelings anymore. Lan felt the desire in her eyes, and Nam's gesture. You are no longer afraid. You crossed the line once, and now she's letting herself slide down that road. Not looking back, they're close, immersed in emotion that Lan feels like it's been lost for a long time. After my meetings with Nam, Lan always comes home with a strange feeling. You feel guilty, but at the same time I feel happier. Your mood is no longer bleak. You start to realize that I don't care much anymore and what happens in the family. Your hero is now just a stranger, living under one roof. Once, when Hung asked Lan about trips to the city, you lie without blinking. I just went shopping and visited an old friend. It doesn't matter. He just nodded without asking anything else. Doesn't seem to care. His indifference made Lam feel even more. I have a good reason to go south. You don't feel as guilty as you did in the beginning. Hero in some way, it makes you feel like you no longer exist. In your life too. The village is increasing deeper into this off-the-shelf relationship. You often think about South Africa, even when cooking or playing with Min. She also accidentally smiled when I remember the times they were together. You're too used to lying to me, so that it becomes 1-0 missing in your life. These changes don't just stop at times. Meeting in secret, the character of Lan has gone through incredible changes. You are now cold and distant. They care less, sometimes even show anger. I asked Han about family business. Lan began to despise her husband. Every time I see you tired. Dirty clothes, too rugged hands for work. Why don't you live a little for yourself? Instead of always worrying about the factory, Lan muttered in an argument with Hung. Surprised by the change of his wife, but I don't know what to do about it. I'm so used to this monotonous life, and the discontent of Lan makes it hard for me to deal with. But I still don't understand why. Lan changes so quickly. The living room is unusually quiet tonight. The soft yellow light covering every corner of the room, but we can't get rid of the claustrophobia hidden in the air. Elen sitting corner sofa. The eyes look out the window, where darkness covers the outside. Hero sitting across, his eyes fixed on his wife's every move. For many days I have felt the change in you, but I don't know where to start. Speak softly and break the silence. You've been strange lately, Lan. What's going on? Lan was a little startled, but didn't look back at me. She bowed, her hands gently knit together. It's like holding back the emotions. It's strange, you're no different, don't think too much. The hero is not satisfied with the answer. His voice became slower, as if to express his anxiety. It's not what you imagined. I'm not the same anymore. I'm no longer the kind of woman who cares about her family. Always make time for you and your children. Now I'm like, lost in another world that you can't reach. Lan laughed softly, but that smile didn't have any warmth. You're talking too much. Maybe I'm just tired of work. You don't pay attention to excuses. Your eyes are still fixed. I know work can make you tired, but not like this. I've been avoiding you lately. Even the meal is only eaten through the speakers. I asked you last night. I don't read to you before I go to bed anymore. Lan was flabbergasted, but she kept her calm. Take your eyes off the hero. Hands tighter. You've been so busy lately. You know me, right? Sighs, I don't want to argue. But it can't continue. Let it go that way. Lan, I don't blame you, but there's something deeper. I feel that you are no longer my wife. I am no longer your mother as I was before. I want to understand, but you keep dodging. The village felt its heart tightening. The tension began to rise, and she couldn't hold it any longer. Stand up and turn your back on the hero. Her voice began to tremble. You don't understand. Sometimes I just need my own space. I can't always be the perfect wife, the perfect mother always expected. Hero frown. I stand up close to you, gentle but determined. Private space. Lan, I never asked you to be perfect. I just need you to be me. But I'm not like that anymore. What's going on with you? There's something I can't share with you. Lan turned, her eyes flared with contradiction, angry and in pain. What are you implying? Or do you think I have someone else? I think you betrayed me. The hero stood still, his eyes slightly surprised. I didn't say that, but I just said that, Lan. Why do you think so? Hard throat. You know you've crossed the line, but I can't record what I just said. She turned away, her voice sank with fatigue. Stop talking. I don't want to continue this story. Silently look at you. Your heart is strangled by that AI. Lan used to be everything to you as a gentle woman, always smiling and ready to share the joy. Sad, but now, who is standing in front of you? So strange that I don't know what to do. I can only sigh, my voice is heavy. I love you, Lan, but I don't know how to love. When you keep pushing me away, I just want you back. The woman that I fell in love with. I've been through so many waves with you. Don't let us lose each other for anything, Lan. Lan does not respond. Tears quietly flowed down her cheeks, but she did not dare to go back to face Min. You know you're still standing there. I still love and expect you. But now, I'm not sure about myself anymore. There is an invisible void between them. It grows over time. And now no one knows whether they can overcome that distance or not. In recent days, Lan feels unwell in person. She is often dizzy, nausea, and feeling more tired than usual. At first you thought, it's just life pressure, the secret you are hiding. But this feeling is becoming more and more pronounced. One morning when the nausea hits hard, she decided to go to the hospital for a checkup. The results stunned Lan that she was pregnant. Lan sitting in a plastic chair, the cold of the hospital. Your heart is racing, half excited, half confused. You know this baby is a hero, even though the relationship with Nam is going on seductively. But Lan is sure about the time of pregnancy. But that doesn't make you less worried. How will Hung react when he learns about this tie? And if Nam knew you were pregnant, what would you think? Lan returned home in a confused mood. I want to tell the hero right away, but her guilt and fear made her procrastinate. The truth about the relationship with Nam was ingrained in Lan's life, and you know that. Everything is about to be pushed to the top. You can't escape this truth anymore. Lan knows what to do. I need to see Nam to explain everything. You can't go on living in this misery anymore. That evening when Hung went to bed, Lan messaging for Men. I need to see you now. We need to talk, he responded after a few minutes as usual. I'll pick you up. Lan dating Nam in an empty cafe. It's outside the town. When you walk in, he sat there with a familiar smile. But today, Lan doesn't feel so relieved to see you anymore. She sat down with worried eyes. I am pregnant. Nam stopped. My eyes flashed with surprise. What do you say? Lan repeated this time. Her voice was heavier. I'm pregnant. Nam was silent. His face became tense. The feeling in your eyes seems to change from surprise to something unpleasant. They both understand that the relationship between them is now. It's not the same anymore. The baby in the womb is the result of. What are you going to do? He asked if his voice was softer. It's a bit cold. Lan bit lips. Her eyes are down. Her hands are twisted together. I want to end everything with a hero. I can't live like this anymore. I no longer feel for him. I want to be with you. Nam stared at Lan, saying nothing for a few seconds. Then you shake your head, a fleeting smile filled with bitterness. Lan, do you think about the consequences? I never thought we'd get this far. That sentence came straight to Lan's mind. She looked at Nam with clouded eyes of despair. You thought Nam will be the one to pull you out of this deadlocked life. It's the way out for all that you're trapped in. But now I'm hesitating. As if everything they've been quietly building, it's just a misunderstanding. Nam continued. His voice became strange and different. I can't get you out of there, Lan. I chose this life a long time ago, and leaving isn't as simple as you think. I will provide for you when you are pregnant. I won't leave you alone, but taking me now is not the time. Lan is knocked down. Every word Nam said like a knife wound in her heart. You're not the way out like you imagined. I don't want to be responsible for my life that they've secretly built. Every hope becomes dim at a moment's notice. Nam gently holds hands. Lan is comforting her. I sat in the next chair, hugging her waist so she could relax her shoulder. Lan's eyes were out the window. But as soon as Lan just turned out, your heart stopped beating. Your husband is standing across the street, eyes looking straight through the glass door right at her and Nam. There's no anger in your eyes. There's only a fleeting smile that's cold and creepy. Lan trembled. Heart palpitations. She hurried back, but it was too late. The hero pushed the door into the bar. Your looks exude great strength. The confidence of the working man. Polite hero greets Nam. Your voice is soft but full of meaning. Hi, are you Nam? I'm Hung, Lan's husband, and I'm here to pick up my wife. I'm waiting for her at home. She shouldn't have sat that long. The skin feels like the whole body is frozen. You can't look directly at the hero. I can't even look at Nam. Both men know everything. But the confrontation right now, it doesn't come from anger or arguments. But the confrontation right now, it doesn't come from anger or a loud argument, but from Hung's strange calmness. Man looked at Hung's tall, muscular body. A little fear flashed in my eyes. Lan can't say anything else. She stood up and followed the hero out of the bar. I dare not look back at the south. On the way home, the space in the car is filled with silence. Steady car engine noise, like a rush in your heart. The hero didn't say anything, but she knew he'd figured it all out. I came home and just walked in the door closed. Not as polite as before. His eyes flared with anger. But not immediately. It's a terrifying coldness. You're standing across from Lan. His voice echoed sarcasm and contempt. Lan, you are really good. All this time I've been thinking, you're a mute woman. But I see I've hidden you so well. I don't recognize your true face. Lan Bo cannot respond. You know that every excuse right now, everything becomes meaningless. The hero moves forward. Your eyes are not as soft as they used to be. I think you're an idiot. Since when did you become a two-faced woman? How long have you betrayed me, Lan? Lan tried to speak, but dry throat did not root. You can only stutter. You are not what I think you are. You are. What do you mean? Hung interrupted, his voice full of bitterness. I'm just bored with this life. I just want a way out. Or you just see, man is more interesting than a hard worker like you. Lan felt the tears start to come out, but also dare not cry. The hero continues. Your voice is getting smaller, but more and more sour. I thought I understood you. I built a family with you. But no, I'm just pretending to be a duck. Until I find a better man. Lan's life collapsed at that moment. What you used to think was a way out, it's just a dead end now. You can't keep your cover anymore. Both Hung and Nam can see through you. Now you're left with nothing but emptiness and pain. Can't escape. Lan sitting in the corner with lifeless eyes looking through the window. These days, everything around you is a nightmare. Without end, the hero who used to love and quiet her has now completely changed. I'm not a gentle man anymore. It turns into a wounded animal. Be prepared and ready to attack at any time. The cold and cold before. It has now turned into revenge, insidious but brutal. That afternoon, Hung returned to the village. I decided to tell the truth about the tie. At dinner, she gently put her hand on his hand. He said softly, "Hero, I have something to tell you." Looking up at his wife, "Your eyes are tired as usual. What's going on?" Lan took a deep breath and her voice trembled. "I am pregnant and we are about to have another child." Also silenced. The chopsticks on his hands paused. Your face flashed in surprise. And then it moves to something unpredictable. The air in the room seemed to stop for a few long seconds. Lan dare not look you in the eye. Just keep your head down and wait for a reaction. Finally, the hero spoke slowly but heavily. "I'm not sure it's your baby." That question is like a knife to Tim Lan. She looked up in shock at her husband. I can't believe Hung doubted that. She bit her lips with tears streaming out. "What are you talking about? Of course it's your child." The hero stared at Lan. "My eyes are dark. I'm trying to find something in your eyes." The prolonged silence, and Lan knows Hung's suspicions were not without reason. "I've started to feel like something was wrong before. From the times you've been away for no reason, from the change in her attitude. And now, information about the tie only adds to that suspicion." The hero said slowly, his voice was cold. "I could say your son, but how do you know for sure? I've been hiding so much from you lately." Lan panicked. You can't stand the Hun's eyes anymore. You cry trying to explain. "Heroes are not what you think. I have met Nam a few times, but I swear to you this baby is yours. You never do that." The hero remained silent. Your eyes don't leave Lan, but inside I'm burning a rage. All the things I suspected before, now they all seem to have a base. The jealousy rises, but you keep your cool in a scary way. I know in my heart that the child can be mine. But the suspicion, trust has been broken, and I can't shake those thoughts. The hero started coming home late, a little strong wine, sometimes with my brothers in the factory. After drinks all night, your eyes are deep red. But the cold stare, Sage Lan only knows how to bow and dodge. I don't talk much, but your actions are full of defiance and anger. Every night Hung goes to bed with Lan, but not as gentle a husband as before. But rough request and the evil demands began to appear. Why do you still want to keep your distance from me? Smiling softly, but in that laughter, it's filled with irony. And angry Lan trembled under his eyes. The hero is no longer just a husband. He started forcing her to meet bizarre demands. Force you to do things that you only hear from outside stories. You feel like a soulless doll. Just do it to avoid your wrath. Bend down like this, like you guys at the bar. You sure know how to do that, don't you? He said as he pushed his hand. Made Lan fall in bed. Lan felt her body in pain, but shame and shame. It's what hurts you more. You feel like you've been turned into a tool bag. Let the hero take revenge. No longer the wife you once loved. Whenever I'm near your pillow, you're not just scared. It feels like I've lost myself. The South is lost. The messages, Lan calls are not answered. You start to panic. I tried to contact Nam, but in vain. The man you once thought would be your way out. It's now gone, leaving you in a mess. You don't know how to get out. You become desperate to feel isolated and cloistered. One evening after the hero came home from work drunk late, I dragged Lan back to bed, this time with eyes full of contempt. You want to live with a free man, don't you? Okay, I'll show you how free I can be. You'll know what it feels like to be betrayed. Lan choked in her throat. She did not dare to argue. Her body was burning, and her spirit was running out. The hero is no longer a hero. You've become a hateful demon. Take revenge for what you think you did. I don't need an answer from Lan. There are only violent nights, the times of coercion you have to endure. She tried to suffer for Min because of the child in her belly. But every day that goes by, Lan is sinking deeper into despair. You feel trapped in your marriage. This hell has no way out. The hero began to live more carelessly. You're not only late, you're worse. I started playing dirty games with my friends. Every night I sing and drink. Even, you no longer recognize the man you once loved. The hero drowned in. Laughing wine men tell the girls at the bar, as if you wanted to show Lan that you can also live a free life, just like the men you've always admired. 12 o'clock at night, and Lan can hear the familiar motorcycle sound. Outside the door, you know the hero is coming home. So quickly run out, open the gate. But her heart stopped beating when he hugged another girl. Lan never thought heroes can show such affection with another woman. There's something that makes you dizzy and doesn't say a word. The light flashed through the gate door, covered in a dim light. Create a scene in front of you. You can see all the details. Hung's hand was on the girl's chest, both of their bodies pressed together in an intimate embrace, as if time had frozen, and Lan couldn't take her eyes off the painful scene. In front of the hero saw Lan standing in the gate. I just grinned, to deliberately make bolder moves to irritate Lan. The girl was pressed against the wall. The soft breathing made Lan purple. You can't stand by and watch that scene. You run into the house. After a while, Hung came to his house to speak. Do you like me as much as the girl before? Number. When I heard Hung Lan's question, I suddenly looked back at him. She was silent for a moment and then shook her head. I don't need you to treat me like that. I just want you to treat me normally. Hung approached Lan with a gentle look at her. So how do you want me to treat you? Lan lowered her head in a low voice. I just want you to be the same. You mean, you want me to be stupid enough to put a horn on my head, right? Hung near the two-eyed voice, looking straight at Lan. There's anger in my chest, but try to hold back. Lan took a step back, a panicked look on her face. What are you talking about? I don't understand. The hero roared. Stop pretending. I already know everything. You think I'm too gentle, don't you? You like strong men. Then I'll show you. A man like that. What can I do with your life? Then he dragged Lan into the room and threw her down on the bed, hands jerking buttons on Lan Ray. Lan breathed as Hung kissed her neck. Double Lan hands trembling. Take off the buttons on the hero. Hero stroking the smooth skin of Lan. Make you shiver with joy. They take off their clothes, naked bodies tangled together. Hung kissed all over Lan's body, making her moan with pleasure. Lan feel the erection of Hung when pressed against my thigh. But after the act of love, that's the beginning of your insults. Why do you see me as Nam? Whatever way you like, I'll treat you. Lan lies silent in the heart of pain and jealousy. The hero does not regret insulting you. Lan cries she wants to embrace the hero's neck to kiss his lips, to ease the pain, but look away. I don't want to kiss Lan like before. It's just coming in and out, then tired of dropping down on the bed, eyes lethargic. Sometimes with a contemptuous smile. Are you satisfied or do you want to? The silence, the tears that filled the corners of my eyes. Every day that goes by, deeper into the shame and pain. She realized that she had pushed the hero to the brink. And now you're paying the price. You wanted a free life, looking for joy from the south, but now she's all alone and desperate. Lan wanted to leave, but now there is no Nam to hold on to. The hero punishes you in every way you can think out. Every day in front of you, once you had to swallow your tears. Try to survive the dark days. You were at the crossroads of your life, but now it's all broken. One evening when the hero came back from a heavy drinking, Lan is sitting quietly in the living room, staring out the window. Dark house space. Only a faint yellow light came in from outside the theater. The hero stumbled through the door. The wine was strong, and his eyes were clouded with drunkenness, but different every time. The hero doesn't go straight to bed or let out harsh words with Lan. I stand in the living room. He looked at Lan with angry eyes, but there's also something unexpected. I knew it all and didn't say. His voice was hoarse, but clearly stopped Lan. I went to the doctor. Lan, hard back. Your heart is racing. You try to stay calm, but there's a sense of fear in every gesture. You know that. He investigated the child in his stomach. The tie is not mine, is it? Dragon hero eyes long on the casino stripe. The anger broke out after days of repression. Lan choked nothing. You know you're on the verge of collapse, but before you can react, the hero gets closer to you. Threw a copy of the Thai exam papers on the table. Say every word clearly. I asked for the test, and I found out. The pregnancy didn't coincide with the time we were close. Stunned eyes wide open. You can't whisper, your mind spinning. I am sure that this child is a hero. But information from the test results, it puts you in crisis. You don't know what to believe anymore. Smiling bitterly, I look at you with indignant eyes. So this is why you betrayed me, right? You're going to marry this baby to tie him up. Or are you going to lie to me for the rest of your life? Lan stood up and lay on the paper. Her eyes went crazy when she saw the results. She tried to explain, but her mouth was dry. Can't utter a word. I have to believe you. I don't know why. I was wrong, but this baby is really your baby. She choked, trying to say, your words now. As if losing all persuasion, the hero said nothing more. I turned my back and walked out, leaving Lan standing alone in the cold room. But what's worse with Lan? It's the doubt that starts to creep in your mind. Is the baby really the son of a hero? Or you've been wrong from beginning to end? Lan decided to find Nam. You know that only male. I can help you clear things up. Or you will lose everything. But Nam disappeared, oh, one trace. After all that's happened. The turning point came one morning when Lan suddenly received a message from some stranger. I have some secrets about South Africa. Meet me if you want to know the truth. Lan's heart stopped beating. Who sent this message? What secrets about South Africa you don't know? Does this have anything to do with the baby in your belly? Or not? In a mood of confusion and despair, Lan decides to go to the rendezvous point. You need to know the truth, no matter how cruel it is. Lan sitting in a small roadside cafe, shaky hands gripping the phone. The strange message you just received still shows up. Screen evokes in her a relentless wave of anxiety. You're here by the messenger's appointment. There's a secret about South Korea that you don't know. Can it help you to resolve the current impasse? The coffee shop is empty. The pale yellow light flashed from the sparse shadows. Lan sometimes looks out the door. I don't stop wondering, are you making a big mistake or not? But you know you have no way back. You need the truth, no matter how cruel it is. The door cracked a small sound. A man walked in, mysterious figure wearing a half-closed hat. His face looked around the bar. Stop when you see Lan. He is slowly approaching. Sit down in the opposite chair. Take off your hat and reveal your cold face. A little bit of confusion flashed in Lan's eyes. You don't recognize him. You're Lan, he asked in a loud and murky voice. Lan nodded despite her doubts. Who are you? What do you have to say about South Africa? The man grinned and lowered his voice, eyes staring straight at Lan. I do business with Nam. Probably you don't know much about his real work. Lan's heart beats harder. His words, it makes you feel uneasy. Nam never told you a lot about my work. You just know you're a successful businessman, always busy with projects. But for a specific job, you never really ask. She listens silently, waiting for the next words from the mysterious man. Nam is not the one who thought. He's not just a businessman. He's involved in a lot of illegal business. And now he's on the run. Wanted and involved in a major scam. A man's words are like lightning flashing across his ears. You can't believe what you just heard. 5 people you used to trust, now exposed as a fraud. You try to stay calm, but her trembling voice betrayed her. You can't be sure. The man nodded. Take out an envelope from your pocket and throw it on the table in front of Lan. Here's the proof. In there are documents proving Nam's debts and his arrest warrant as well. You can check if you want. Slowly take the envelope. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside are sheets of paper with bright red seals, the giant numbers. The official arrest warrant is called Nam. It's all true. The man continued. Nam has disappeared since the incident broke. I don't know how he cheated on you, but I think you need to know this. And there's one more important thing I need to tell you. Lan raised your head. His eyes widened to hear his every word. Are you sure the baby in your stomach is yours? His question silenced Lan. The suspicion that the hero has planted in your heart these past few days. Now it's been roused in a cruel way. You choked. I'm sure the baby is Hung's. The man shook his head, eyes full of understanding, but no less cold. Are you sure? I know Nam has seen you many times. I know your relationship. You may not know, but Nam, he never thought he'd stop at you. You're just part of his game. Alan feels like she's about to fall. His words are breaking. All the faith left in you. You can't believe Nam took advantage of you. That made you a pawn in his plan. But something deep in your heart, I want to believe in the baby in the womb, that it belongs to the hero, the man you betrayed. If you want to know for sure, there's only one way. The man continued in a cold voice. DNA testing of the baby when it's born. Lan sat silently without words. Everything is spinning around you. You've gone too far. I don't know what's true or what's false. The man got up and put on his hat and walked out the door. Before leaving, leave one last sentence. Nam is not coming back. He left everything behind, including you, and you decide your own way. Lan sitting quietly in the coffee shop, hold the envelope in your hand. Watery eyes. You have lost all love, my faith in myself. Now it's not just about facing the hero, but also to face the truth. The baby in your belly may not be your baby. It's the result of a sinful relationship. Lan sat quietly in the darkness of the room. It's a frightfully cold and quiet space. Everything around you seems to fall apart. The stranger man, you've exposed everything you think. I know about South. Someone you used to trust, ever expected. It was the way out of a tragic marriage. You try to stay calm, but his every word still haunts your mind. Like a knife, cut deep into the fragile trust that you still have. A few days have passed since that meeting. Lan did not dare to mention the tie with Hung anymore. One more time, you can clearly feel the change in me. The hero is getting deeper and deeper into the wine. Every meal comes home late. People who smell of yeast and cigarettes, but different from before. I no longer try to control you. No longer bother you every night. The silence makes Lan feel even more insecure. Late one night when the hero came home after a drink, I sat in a chair in the living room. Your eyes are full of fatigue, but there's a sense of ridicule in it that Lan recognizes right away. The hero looked at Lan and uttered a sarcastic voice. How long are you going to live like this? Just silently pretend like nothing happened to Seo. Lan startled at Hung's question, but I don't know what to say. She bowed her head, painting his cold eyes. You think I don't know what's going on? You think I'm so blind? Don't understand how you betrayed me? Hero laughed, his voice hoarse magic. The village felt its heart tightening. You are mentally prepared to face the anger of the hero, but when that actually happens, you still can't escape the feeling of fear. She's standing straight in front of me, red eyes looking straight at Lan. Your voice becomes steely. I found the evidence about your relationship with Mam. Hung's words like lightning struck across the ear. Lan was stunned and didn't know what to say. Hero knows everything. I knew everything. You feel it. There's anger in every word of mine. And now you understand that. There is nothing that can save this marriage. Lan, hold your breath. Try to calm down to face the hero. Hero, I have to believe you were wrong. But this baby is your baby. The hero laughed loudly and laughed bitterly and contemptuously. My son, what can you prove to me? Nam is gone. You can only talk and have nothing to prove. You think I'll believe you? Standing still, tears began to fall. You know that. I have no way to convince the hero. We've all gone so far that we can't go back. Yes, I contacted the hospital to prepare for a DNA test when the baby is born. Not speaking up to decide. If it's my child, I'm responsible. But if not, you'll know the consequences of betraying me. That's it. The words of the hero makes Lan feel more panicked than ever before. You can't believe it's come this far. You don't know if you can survive. If the truth isn't what you think it is. The days after that, the hero is sinking deeper and deeper into hatred and darkness. He left early and left Lan in the cold house. I don't bother you every night. But the silence and the cold in their relationship, it's worse than any anger. Lan tried to seek help from Nam, but all her efforts were in vain. Nam has completely disappeared. A trace the man once brought her. The whole escape. Now there's only one heap left. The messages. Her call fell into a hopeless void. You're trapped between two worlds. On the one hand is the punishment from the hero. On the one hand is the complete disappearance of Nam. You don't know where to hold on. One late night, after drinking with colleagues, the hero returned home drunk. He stumbled into the living room and slumped down in a chair, the cool red eyes staring at Lan. She's sitting in the corner of the room, avoiding him. Lan Hung called her name, his voice hoarse. Do you know why I'm doing this? Why did I leave you? Lan does not answer, just silently listen. I want you to feel the feeling that I've had to endure, the feeling of being betrayed and abandoned. You don't want a good husband. I'll show you. What is a free man? The hero laughed, bitter and tired laughter. Lan felt her heart was torn apart. What you did, it doesn't just break the relationship between them. It turns the hero into a completely different person. And you know, no matter what the DNA test results are, everything between them was no longer salvageable. Lan stood up and walked towards Hung, looking straight at him. Her voice trembled but fiercely. Hero, We can't go on living like this anymore. I was wrong, but I can't take it anymore. If you want to punish me, do it. But don't torment us like this. Let it all end. Silently watching Lan, your eyes are deep, contain so much suffering and anger. But in the end, I just turned my back. Walk into the room. Let Lan stand alone in the living room. Lan knew that she had lost everything. And now you're just waiting for the truth to come out. Time goes by. Lan sitting in the hospital room, tired eyes taped tightly to the small cradle next to the bed. You were born a few days ago. Your body is still weak. But the fear and the tension inside, it makes you unable to rest. Baby, your son and the hero are lying there peacefully and small. I don't know the chaos that's going on around me. The hero hasn't been to the hospital since the day he was born. I'm waiting for the DNA test results. Lan knows that. As long as the results prove the baby is not your child, everything will end. The hero doesn't want to see your face anymore. Lan doesn't know. I will have to face the future of us all. But now, the most important thing for you is your child. My baby. That afternoon when Lan slept for a few minutes, she was startled by a nightmare. In the dream, she saw the baby being dragged away by the alive in a scream that can't be reached. She got up and turned to the cradle beside the bed, and panicked, realized that the baby was really gone. Lan screamed 7 bar, panicked running around the search room, but your child is no longer there. The nurse and the doctor rushed into the room when they heard a cry, but they couldn't find the baby either. It feels like the whole world around Lan is falling apart. She screamed for the nurse's hand. Try to ask where your child is, but no one has the answer. Lan's phone suddenly rang. Your heart stopped beating when you see the phone number on the screen. That's Nam's number. She picked up the phone with trembling hands. What did you do? You took my son. Nam Vang's voice filled with cold and madness. Yes, I caught it. That child is not my child, but I won't let you get it, Lan. You betrayed me, cheated on me. I've got nothing to lose now. The village felt its body trembling with fear and desperate. Nam has kidnapped her child. The baby has nothing to do with the mess between them. But now, it's caught up in the cycle of adult sin. 5, let me go. The baby has nothing to do with us. Please. Village cry, her voice choked. Nam chuckled. Unrelated to Sao, you think you can live in peace. After everything you've done to me, I have nothing left, Lan. I'm wanted. And you're the only one I can pull down with. If I have to go, then we'll all pay the price. Lan feels my heart tightening. She knew that Nam could no longer control herself. You need to stay calm, trying to buy time to find a way to rescue her. Just then the hospital door opened. He walked into a tense and cold face. He stood there looking at Lan with knife-sharp eyes, but seeing the panic on her face, I immediately understood. Something serious has happened. Lan gave the phone to Hung, her voice trembled. Nam has kidnapped our child. Stunned and quickly picked up the phone. His voice was cold but determined. Nam, where are you? Don't touch my son, or you won't survive. Nam has been silent for a long time, laughing in the phone. What is your child? Now you claim it's your son. Why didn't you do a DNA test before confirming that? Hold the phone in your hand. Your eyes are full of anger. I don't care about you anymore, man. Whatever you want, don't touch me. Nam laughed softly, his voice fluttered. I want Lan should come to see me alone. Otherwise, the baby will never come back. Silently holding hands, but there's no other way. He turned to Lan, his eyes full of anguish and confusion. Lan immediately understood Nam's intentions. He wants to drag you down with his despair. I want you to pay for everything that happened. Lan knew she had no other choice. You have to go to Nam to save me, but the hero won't let you go alone. I've been deeply hurt because of what happened between them, but the baby is the only thing I care about. You can't let Lan face Nam alone." The hero looked straight into Lan's eyes. "Your voice is serious. I'll go with you. The baby is my baby, and I won't let Nam hurt her." Lan nods the sprawl. She understood that even though everything between them was broken, but I still have feelings for the baby. Both are caught up in the dangerous game of Nam, and now they have to work together to save their children. Mail sending addressed to Lan. It's an old warehouse on the outskirts of town. When Hung and Lan arrive, the darkness is all around. There's only a few dim lights flashing from the corners. They walked into the warehouse. Lan's hands trembled as she grabbed the old wooden door. In the warehouse, Nam stood there next to a small cradle. The baby lies in the cradle, eyes closed. Nam stared at Lan and Hung with crazy eyes. Man laughed his eyes up at the casino. They both came very well. Now we're going to solve everything. Lan's breath became hasty. The hero tries to stay calm, but your eyes can't hide the anger. Let the baby go. It takes another step closer to the south. I won't let you hurt my son. Nam laughed and his eyes glowed with cruelty. Your child is ironic. If this child were my child, he would live. And if it's your child, his fate must be different. Somebody paid a lot of money for this kid. Awesome. I know now. You and I are both in this game. Lan stands still. You can't believe what you just heard. The man you once trusted and loved turned out to be a child trafficker. And now you're just one of the victims in his cruel plan. Nam looked straight at Lan. His voice was as cold as ice. You never suspected, did you? You thought you met me by chance. Not everything is a plan. You're just one of the girls I cheated on. Girls like her easily SA into traps. Light and easy to lead. Lan feels like my heart is breaking. The truth is so cruel. You were taken advantage of, being turned into prey in Nam's trading game without even knowing. Nam continues his sinister voice. I showed the client your picture. They all want your child. Unfortunately, the police arrived. If you lose this baby, it's going to cost me a lot of money. This baby was sold for a hefty price. You know what? Hero clenched his fist. His eyes flashed with indignation. You've made our lives a living hell. You don't deserve to live. Nam laughed with no regret on his face. Hell is right. I made hell for you. And now I need a hero. Will help me cross the border, or I'll never let this kid go. Lan choked her eyes and looked at Shin. They have no choice. If you don't do what Nam says, their children will forever be in his hands. But the hero stood still, trying to find a way out of this situation without giving in. Suddenly, a woman comes out of the dark. That's the hostess at the theater that the hero used to go to. The one you once thought was just a mediocre woman. Turns out she's Nam's hand and foot. Helped him monitor and control everything. The bitter hero realized that you yourself have been caught in Nam's trap, used for land monitoring. This woman held the baby in a cold voice. It's time, Nam. We've got to get out of here before it's too late. Nam looked at Hung and Lan grinned. Choose to go or help me escape, or lose your child forever. Heroes have no choice. He nods, his voice full of tension. I'll help you, but you have to let me go. When we successfully cross the border, Nam laughed with sinister eyes. Well done. The hero led the man and the woman carrying the baby out of the warehouse into the silent forest road. Everything is quiet and scary. Only the winds whispering through the trees. Lan, go. Follow your heart full of anxiety. You can't believe it. My life. To be in such a horrible situation. As we approach the border, The hero suddenly felt that something was wrong. A soft noise from a distance. Your intuition is sharper than ever. And then as the destiny card arranged, a series of flashlights glowed in the dark. Shout out loud. Stay at the border. The panicked man turned around. His eyes revealed despair. He knows it's over. The border guards are surrounded. Instead of surrendering, man frantically pushed Hung out, trying to find a way out. As the chaos of the South pushes mightily towards the brink, the hero could not react and fell down. Lan screamed in panic, running towards the edge, but only in time to see the shadow falls deep into the abyss. The army quickly arrived, dominated Kier man and woman. The baby was brought safely, but Lan no longer minded to rejoice. She knelt on the brink, screaming in despair. Hero. Nam was arrested. His crimes are finally being exposed. He'll never have a chance. Harm any more AI. But Lan knows that the price that his wife paid was too expensive. The baby was saved. But Hero, the man you betrayed, was hurt. May never come back. Lan painfully looked towards the edge where Hung had disappeared, filled with regret and loss. You've lost everything, but most importantly, you have lost the only man who loved you. People who are willing to sacrifice everything to save their children. 3 years have passed since the hero fell into the abyss. From that day on, the lives of Lan and her children completely changed. Lan had to learn to walk through the pain, to take care of my 2 grown children. You are no longer the weak woman you were before. Lan is now the backbone of the family. Every morning she gets up early to prepare meals to take her children to school, rush to the factory. Everything's back in orbit. But Lan's heart always has a scar, a void that nothing can fill. You never stop remembering heroes, the moments together. In times of happiness and bitterness, it's engraved in your mind. You used to think, I'll always live in that nostalgia and sorrow. Until one day, fate brings you to meet someone you didn't expect. Lan was on her way home from the factory that day, passing by the little market near my school. Suddenly she saw a man who looked wrong, standing near the corner, looking at the restaurants with confused eyes. You were going to leave, but right away, when her eyes touched the man's face, Lan's heart is tightened. That's the man standing in front of you. It's a simple appearance, a stupid face. The eyes are lost, but the familiarity is unmistakable. Each mole, every scar on your tough hands, it all matches your memory. Lan couldn't believe her eyes. Her heart thundered with joy and bewilderment. The man you thought was lost forever. I can't hold my emotions. Lan ran in front of the man. She called his name in a choked voice. It's you, isn't it? The man raised his head with his eyes wide open at her. There's no sign of recognition. He shook his head, slightly frowning. I don't know who you are. I felt my heart break again. Hero doesn't remember you. They don't remember anything about their lives. But deep in my heart, you know this man is your husband. I've seen every scar on your hand, traces that only you have. It can't be wrong. She decided she wouldn't give up even if the hero didn't remember her. You will be the one to bring me back. She started talking to me every day. Find a way to make you feel comfortable. The hero doesn't seem to remember anything about the past, about the accident or the memories they shared. But your eyes are getting softer. Went on the Lan. One day Lan took Hung back to their old house. I don't know if you agree or not, but the hero quietly followed her back. The house had changed a little, but when I entered the yard, everything becomes familiar to Hung in a strange way. Min, their eldest son, come out when the man looks like you. He paused for a few seconds and his eyes widened in wonder. Dad is back, Hung is back. His eyes looked at Min. It's like old feelings are rising in me. I can't remember who this kid is, but the hero feels a strange connection. He bent down gently to pick up Min. laughing at the boy like a real distant person. It's a sight that chokes. Even though the hero doesn't remember anything about the past, your return was a miracle. You can start over with me. I can love you again like the first day. Maybe he forgot all the suffering in the past. It's also a good thing. They can open a new page. No more the wounds of the years, full of wind. From there, the hero stayed with his mother Lan. You are no longer a strong man, as sharp as before, but in return, you're happy and kind. Take care of your 3-year-old. Hung and Lan share housework every day. Taking care of children, everything is strangely peaceful. Lan understands that life is a series of losses and recovery. There are things that seem lost forever. But if we keep our faith, sometimes life brings the unexpected. The hero is back. You are not the same as before. But the most important thing is now. They have a chance to live a new life. No longer haunted by the pain of the past. Life is not always perfect. But Lan realized that sometimes it's that imperfection. Bring me happiness again. You and your husband have lost a lot. But now, they can love each other in a very simple way. No more the waves of the past. She smiled softly at Hung and the children. Forgetting is sometimes not a bad thing. It's important that we learn how to start over. Happiness is not about keeping what is past. It's about letting go, find peace in the present. And so Lan and Hung's life started a new page. There are no more wounds. There is only love and forgiveness. Dear friends, the short story is over. It's a great story, isn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, remember to subscribe to the channel, like and share support for Quine Wong. Hello and see you later. You and your friends. In the new series, it will be broadcast on the channel. Hello and see you later.